everyone, welcome to Brick Vault. My name's Jack. Today we are building, or have built, the third largest to date Lego set in the history of Lego. This is the Ninjago City. Coming from the Lego Ninjago movie line, this set has 4,867 pieces, is rated for ages 16 and up, and is set number 70620. Included officially are 17 minifigs, though there are a few more minifigure bodies that are just sort of suits being sold in different stores. And there are a ton of different floors with just basically an endless amount of features and different details on the inside. At least it feels that way. This set was live streamed. If you want to learn more about our live stream schedule, you can check out the description below. And officially, this is the longest live stream we've ever done in the history of the channel, clocking in at just under 10 hours. Now I'm going to show you just a tad of this incredibly long build, and we're going to get right into the review. Okay, so here is the entire built Ninjago City set. This behemoth of a set is just massive, really. Now, this set is impressive in not just its scale, but also the amount of detail that the designers have managed to cram into all the tiny little nooks and crannies, crevices and spaces. There's basically no area of this build that doesn't have something hidden or unique or just a fun detail. And I want to get into as much of it as possible, but first let's actually check out the scale. It is measured at 2 feet high or 63 centimeters, and its width can be measured at either 31 centimeters on one angle and 42 centimeters on another. This is the set next to the Town Hall Creator Modular set, the next largest or at least tallest set. And you can see the considerable size difference, not only in how tall, but also how wide those banisters reach. Now, the city is segmented into 3 main levels, the bottom one being called the Old World, level 2 being extremely colorful with the Crab Shack is the street level, while the third floor is called the High Rises. The art style obviously follows something from East Asia based on what I saw from the Lego Ninjago movie trailers. I'm going to assume this is something similar to Hong Kong. And considering the interesting sort of marriage between some of the old build structures like on the underside and then a lot more of the colorful and condensed signs on the top, I'm pretty comfortable saying that that was probably a pretty heavy inspiration. Now, there's a lot of minifigs to cover, but I figure the city is so awesome, I'm going to go through this entire set, sort of breaking the whole thing down first and then checking out all the cool details as we slowly build the city back up. So let's start with the ground floor. This is the Old World, and a lot of the structures are a little bit more simple. You can see they're made of wood and just a bit more simple detailing, as well as some more traditional architecture style. Now, one of the more interesting aspects of the Old World is that it is not surrounded by a sidewalk like any of the other standard modular sets, but instead this is a city that seems to be floating on water, at least right at the edge of water. There's a wonderful build effect used here where there's basically different types of plate pieces that will indicate depth of the water that's underneath the city. Black is in the center, showing the darkest, and then there's the dark green and lighter green as it gets closer to the edge of the shore. And there's also an area in the back that has some neon trans green, and that's right next to a drain pipe. So you can assume that there's some sort of rotten liquid draining out into the water. Now, the water really does contribute to the atmosphere of the build here at the bottom, and I love the bridge that they've made down here. The detailing, especially on the outside of the bridge here with the neck brackets and those lifesaver pieces, really pull the look of this thing together. And if you pull these little leaf pieces to the side, they're on these little ball joints, we have some sort of hidden prints. They look like maybe symbols or something carved out of the side. And along with the Old World, there is a bit of the new, even down here. There's lots of neon signs like this, and as I go through some of these other snapshots, you can just see colorful signs basically everywhere, right next to some of the older buildings. Now, there's one support beam that we're looking at here, which is pretty nice. There's a little bit of a curve to it. And then we have this nice alternating between a dark tan and light tan, with the crab at the top in the front of basically the main corner. Now, looking at the old world from the back, I think it looks better than the rest of the floors. There's just some more nice detailings along this sort of riverway that's going through the center. And this first shack we're looking at is a little seafood selling stand. There's fish and crab, and a wonderful build for a curved roof that is made entirely out of crowbars. It's a great little technique there. And on the other side, this is actually the living quarters or charging area for this character called Sweep. I'll get into that guy later, but suffice to say he is a cleaning robot, and this is where he recharges. Now, on top of the fish market is the tea room, the first little piece that you can remove quite easily with the jumper pieces. And here there's a great little shape for the tea room. The door slides open and closed, and this is our first look at this new molded piece that makes up a lot of these side grates, the sort of side paneling with those squares. The top has 3 sides of a little bit of fins making up an overhang, and one wall is entirely white with a circular window. The interior has a sticker that shows sort of an old style bit of artwork with a tiger, and the tea room itself has a small table with just a couple of mugs and a teapot, and that is a little bonsai tree in the corner made with a minifigure hairpiece. It's a fun little build, very easy to take off, move around, quite solid, and this is how it fits right into its place. On top of Sweep's apartment or charging area is this little structure, also with another little sliding door, and a new type of build for a sunroof or overhang. This one is fairly simple as well, and also those are solar panels that hang out on the top. This is probably one of the simplest interiors, I would say, for any of the builds. That is a sleeping mat on the bottom with maybe some blocks or small pillows, and there is a television in the corner with a drawer, and that sticker says Good Day Ninjago, which I'm assuming is some sort of morning show, like maybe Good Morning America or something like that from the States. There's just one more little dresser, that's it. There's basically nothing else in this entire build, but there's something nice and elegant and simple about the whole little structure, and I like it a lot. Here it is getting placed on top of Sweep's little charging area, and if there's one more thing to point out from the old world, this is the build for the elevator that you can move up and down. There is just a little bit of tension, and it can transfer somewhat seamlessly between all the different layers. Just make sure they're pressed together properly. Now we've gone through all of old world, so it's time to move on to the street level, and this one I would consider has the most intricate building out of any of the levels. Here there's so many different colors that you're looking at on the street level. I think some of the best parts is the colorful banisters, has advertising all over it. Everything you see here is pretty much a sticker detailing. There's a couple of subtle little prints that I'll point out when we get there, and when we twist the whole thing around, you can see that the back has some sort of integrated pieces. Some of these are actual action functions that have been sort of cleverly disguised as sort of mechanical pipes and other sorts of builds. And let's round the corner to this first build that's all the way here on the left with the movie posters, or I guess advertisement posters. Now this little build on the corner is some sort of advertisement. You can pretty much put anything you want. This is a car advertisement, but as I sort of activate this little opening lever on the side, there's a little car door kind of keeping the extra posters in place. We've got a bunch of really great graphics. They're printed on these trans orange door pieces or window pieces, and some of them are great movie posters. I think all of the rest are movie posters actually, and you might be able to recognize some awesome little Easter eggs there. You can just switch out whichever poster you like, lock the ad up, and then place the other ones back in the slide for switching out later. Speaking of ads, let's just move down this walkway banister, kind of taking a look at some of these prints as we move our way to the center and we get ourselves towards the Crab Shack. I don't know if that's the official name for this restaurant, but that's what I'm calling it anyways. We've got a wonderful little build for a crab head and a couple of little claws. They're a little bit posable there. And this awesome intricate design, which is actually a 5 brick high 1x2 transparent piece that's been filled with a bunch of flat round tile pieces. Awesome little design. And out front you can even see some fans, or maybe that's some AC units that are placed above the windows. Now inside the Crab Shack there is this main big stove in the back where we have a play function. I haven't been able to get it to work too successfully very much, but basically you should be able to flip over a raw crab into a cooked crab. The lever action has a great little snap to it, though the loose pieces kind of have a mind of their own and you don't always get the crab function to flip over properly, but either way it's a great little build, at least aesthetically looking, for the grill. Cooked another crab eventually, you can place the other one right onto the front counter, and then there is some more space in the back for the chef to prepare the crab. And yes, that is a buzz saw as one of the cooking tools. There's a few stools on the inside if you never got a good look at that. And that's about it for the crab shack. So let's move along. More of these nice little stickers for advertisements along the banisters. Such a great little detail there, adds a lot of color. And when we stop, we are in front of the comic book store. Believe it or not, the comic book store actually has a second little piece that you can break off because it's a little bit narrow, and we have this awesome build for comics in the front. There's actually a couple of very subtly printed plate pieces that have just black dots to make a few details for the lettering, and the rest of the interior has some knickknacks. I like the Believe poster that's from the original Lego movie, and there's also some fun little display stuff at the top. As you flip around, I think that is a sound system. Those might be some speakers or the prints on those little tile pieces. But now let's take a look at the rest of what's inside the comic book store. Coolest part for me is all of these different stickers that represent the outside of certain comics. Each one is different. There's a couple of fun throwbacks if you want to examine them. And then there is this other rack that has the Starfarers. These are 4 different loose pieces. These are actual prints. I have been saying prints earlier in the episode when I really do mean stickers, but this is actually something that is printed onto several of the tile pieces. On the other side of the comic book store, we've got 6 different kinds of statuettes. They're all different colors, and it's great because this set does come with the spares statuettes. Each one of these colors is an extra at the end of the build. Now, if you don't have any cash on you, don't worry. Between the crab shack and the comic book store is this ATM machine. Such an easy function, and it works really well. You can basically just spit cash out forever. When you break away the top, you can see that it's basically just this very simple gravity-fed motion, and all you have to do is place the money back on top of each other, and you're good to go. So we're pretty much there with this level. Let's take a look at the back again, and these are the 2 different functions, one being the crab flipping motion. There's a rubber band for some tension, and then here is the motion that shoots the money out of the ATM. All you have to do is push this little green slide forward. Now, when you're looking at the back of the comic book store, you can see this little bit of piping. You put on the second little piece for the comic book title, and that piping matches up again with some of those macaroni pieces. Note the little green root sticking out the bottom. I'm going to reference that later. Now, we've finished with the street, so let's move on to level 3, which is the high rise. And this is sort of the slightly more fancy area. We have this kind of odd kind of shop. A lot more bright, vibrant colors, I think, with the light blue, yellow, and green. And of course, this very wonderful build for a cherry blossom tree sticking out one of the windows. When you turn all the way to the back, you can see some sort of minor detailing once again. A build for a ladder, some racks and stuff for walking across one area to another. And now that we're at this corner again, this is sort of a closer look at that great little build for a green window, but there isn't actually anything there. It's just a cover for the elevator. So let's move on to the main sort of swanky shop. There's so many weird things for sale here. It's hard to tell what the heck we're looking at. First, you got to take out the hats in the center because they're loose and they fall everywhere if you pick it up. And we've got some cell phones in the corner. That area is actually for the register. I believe those orange pieces are copies of the costume that is in the window. And then there is a bunch of displays for hats. Maybe that cup and heart is a perfume or something. You can really start to play around with what all this stuff is because none of it is really that consistent. You can see the guitar in the corner as well as another display for a suit and a skateboard on what looks like maybe even a skateboard rink so you could practice some moves. It's really hard to tell. Either way, I think it's great in terms of the color combinations. There's lots of sort of contrasting, vibrant colors here. And this looks like some sort of accessory shop that I feel like a lot of the younger kids might like going to. Now, right next to it in the bottom floor of this light yellow building is the arm of a giant cherry blossom tree, and the trunk is actually made of a brick-built buildable figure from Star Wars. That's the shin piece that makes up the trunk. And then the rest is covered in these wonderful plant pieces that ultimately show blooming cherries. Now, on top of the yellow building is probably one of my favorite builds in the entire set. It really does kind of look like a standalone house. This time it has a regular opening door instead of some of the sliding doors like on the first level. And it's just a nice combination of tan and light yellow. There's some nice designs on the side wall here, and that's because we have an interesting build for a bookcase on on the interior, so let's just pop the roof off. And this is also a different style build for another thatched roof. Really cool. I feel like every single roof piece has a different build style just about. And now we're taking a look at this incredibly cramped interior, but it's just put together in such a fun way. There's 2 bunk beds, and there's a lot of sort of knickknacks hanging out on top of the bookshelf. That is a sort of sparkly lava lamp, which is kind of cool. And I love the sloped build for the beds. There's no flat pieces. It's just a different set of curved slope pieces that kind of match up in a fun way. And on the other side, there's a desk, tabletop with another TV. I think that is also Good Day Ninjago on TV, and then a microphone above that. Sorry, microwave above that. This really represents how cramped a bedroom could be in such a clustered area. 2 people living in such a small space, but thus is the way of East Asia, I think. So that piece fits right on top of the next yellow part because, you know, that would make sense. And there we have it. That is pretty much the entire build for the skyline. Also, if you look closely from this shot, those macaroni pieces match up from one floor to the next. And I believe this is the root of the cherry blossom tree sticking out from the other side. All right, now let's move up to the 3rd floor, the rooftop restaurant. Just when I thought this build was done for detailing, I thought it was just going to be a roof. They did manage to fit quite a nice bit of detailing for a restaurant as well. You can tell based on the sticker detailing right here that it is indeed a sushi restaurant, and even the build style for the roof changes. We have those curved pieces along the corner and car doors that make up the side paneling. That is a great build for a thatched roof. Once again, just another style of building that we have here, and it really does make for a pretty iconic look, really recognizable. And before we jump into the restaurant, there is also this great detailing for a squid. Nice combination of 2 very uncommon blue colors, but they look great, very vibrant. And then just above there, we've got a floating build for a pufferfish. This is one of the last things you actually build in the entire set, and it's an awesome looking build. It really does look just like a pufferfish with the 2 splayed out eyes and that other yellow piece that makes up the mouth in the front. He's wearing a little hat, and he sticks in with this little peg right down here. He goes right next to the menu, and as we zoom out, you can see the controller for the elevator, and these are yet again some more sticker detailings that are added onto the TV tower. Now let's get into the restaurant. This is a sushi boat style restaurant, so you can twist this little peg here, and there is this chain of Technic pieces where we've got different dishes floating around the top side. It would have been nice if we could manage to get some of those cool new sushi tile pieces fit on top here, but it works pretty well. You can count 7 different chairs and then 3 extra stools, not including there's sort of a bar area next to the rotating fish. And then in this sort of gaping hole in the back, there is a chef's hat and mustache, which I think is kind of odd because the manual tells you to put those spare pieces there, and what goes on top of it is the toilet. And by the way, yes, that is indeed the very first build we've ever had for a squatting toilet in Lego. At least I'm pretty darn sure that is. Next to it is some cherries, so I'm assuming that might be some air freshener piece. And on the other side is a build for 2 golden faucets for a sink, and that pink mug I believe is soap dispenser on the side. It, just like the bottom floor, has a sliding door, and it fits right up there. I like the little walkway piece that leads up to it. And what rests on top of the bathroom is the final little bit of building. This is the top of what I'm gonna assume is the TV tower. I love that design on the front with the white circle and those rounded corner tile pieces in red. It really does make a fun design. And then here's the back with some undersides of the studs showing, which basically doesn't look that good, and the whole build isn't worth it. Just kidding. But anyways, yeah, this is the top of the build here with 3 different builds for a roof. One of the towers being made up of just a fishing rod and a harpoon gun. Guess what? We just went through the entire build of this city. There are obviously details I skipped over, but I mean, there's just a million things to talk about for this set. And so far, the words that come to mind when describing the Ninjago city build is gratuitously good, but let's check out the minifigs. We haven't even gotten into those guys yet. First up here is Kai. He's in his sort of casual clothes. This is probably my favorite print, honestly, out of any of the minifigs. I love the detailing for the pants and the printing on the side of the arms. The jacket is awesome, and this seems like a perfect minifig to put into Kaneda's bike mock that I have in the city. The next here is a Jamanakai villager. He's one of the guys, one of the several people that hangs out on the bottom floor. The robe detailing is a bit more simple. I really do like that print for the face, and he comes with some pretty nice accessories that makes him look very complete. Next up is the Minifig Sally. She's got a basic print for some sort of dirty robe detailing just for the torso piece, and a pretty generic face piece as well. She's holding a frog. And next up here is probably one of the cooler prints as well. This is Ivy Walker. Her print shows some sort of traditional East Asian dress with birds flying around sort of embroidered in there. The braided hairpiece seems to fit her character quite well, and she has some great expressions. Now, I showed Sweep off just for a second earlier, but this is a closer look at the guy. He's completely brick built, and he comes with a broom, a little trash picker upper, and a trash basket on his back. So you can pretty much guess what his job is based on how he looks, his name, and I think he's really tied together well with the look with that hat on the top of his head. Next up is Conrad. Based on the stuff you can see in his hands, you can pretty much tell he is a fisherman. I do like the neck bracket piece being used to hold on to the hat on his back. I think that's kind of a cool little touch. And this is his little fishing boat. It looks very old and traditional, but in the back you can see a fan, and if you look closely at the nose, I think those are also solar panels like we saw on the roof earlier. Here is the crab chef. His name is Severin Black. You can definitely tell he's the crab chef based on the detailing for his torso piece, and his name really does sound like something we would have heard from Harry Potter. He's also got a pretty excellent print for his face, and this guy feels very, very complete. This next character has a name that was very unexpected, was not sort of expecting him to sound like this, but this is Mother Doomsday, and he is the guy that runs the comic book store. You can see the Galador print for his shirt on the front, which is a great little throwback. I think the second Galador reference in this set, and it's very appropriate that he would have that ponytail piece. Now, in Ninjago City, I would suspect that there would be some fans of the ninjas, and this character is called Tommy, and you can see that his print is a Lloyd print, the green ninja. Kind of cool, especially with that little collar print kind of coming over the top. Very fun little detail. And then we have another exclusive print for a torso. This is Guy. Guy has a hot pink torso piece with some sort of fish detailing crossing along the front, a basic sort of symbol along the back showing a hoodie, and it looks like a somewhat stylish thing to wear, probably in the high rises. Juneau is up next with a great purple sort of tank top piece. It's got a golden sash and some flower detailing. I think the black bob hairpiece fits this character pretty well, and she's got some pretty nice prints for expressions. Also, the color for purple contrasts well with her orange umbrella. Now we're finishing off the minifigs with some characters that are a little bit more familiar. Here is Lloyd. He's dressed up in his sort of casual clothes. Same prints actually that we got for the exclusive Lloyd, I think, with just some very minor differences. But I think the best part of the detailing is how the sweatshirt kind of crosses over on his belt for the groin piece for the pants. That actually looks pretty good. This one was technically counted as a minifig within the official list. This is Lloyd's suit, though if you take off the headpiece, or sorry, the cowl piece, you can see that the head is just a trans black minifigure head, meaning that the suit is empty, and of course you can switch Lloyd's head out if you want him to be wearing his ninja suit. There were a few other versions of this suit. I think Nia's suit was in the display, but technically she wasn't counted as a minifig within the final count. Misako is up next. I don't believe any of the parts for this character are exclusive right now. This torso piece is actually pretty common, especially from last year's city sets. But there we have some great expressions for Misako, that awesome new hairpiece that comes with the character, and ultimately I don't think she looks that bad. If Ivy Walker is in this set, so is Jay, and here he's wearing his standard Ninjago outfit for the Lego Ninjago movie series, without anything particularly special going on for this print. This, I could have sworn was the character Charlie from another set, but this is just a Shark Army gunner. He's got a scar that goes across his face, a very sort of angry expression where he's biting his lip, and a pretty standard print that shows the sort of tactical suit that all these Shark Army guys seem to wear. The fish accessory has some sort of sparkles in that water piece, and now we are at our last minifig. This is Officer Noonan with a relatively basic print that shows off the police detailing on the front and back. I do like the silhouette of that minifigure head in the badge, and the minifig also looks pretty good with the simple black police headpiece at the top. She comes with the bullhorn, and that is it. Those are all 17 figs, and we went through the entire set. So I gotta say, with all of the pieces, remember this is just shy of 5,000 parts, and initial retail price is selling for $300 US. That's a great part to price ratio. Lots of unique colors, lots of unique pieces. There's plenty of things that I did not mention in terms of unique pieces, but I think that's also part of what makes this set so great. There's just so much to talk about. There's so much going on. Personally, I really like this East Asian sort of style that we have for the modular building. It doesn't match up well with a lot of the other creator sets or any of the other modular creator sets, but maybe that's one of the factors as to why I think this is so much fun. Just about everything that we have here is new, at least in terms of a building technique or a type of store that we haven't had built in a certain style before. And I think there's just a lot of fun storytelling within the builds and just a ton of layers to discover, both figuratively and literally speaking. This is an awesome set. I have a feeling it's going to be one of the top sets of the year for sure, and I can't wait to put this into our LEGO city. Alright, so that is it for this episode, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time at Brick Vault.